Hey everybody, it's Fang again with this week's Design Cinema. It's been quite a busy week. I'm actually in the process of setting up a media company here in Singapore, so it's been eating up a lot of my time this week, especially with tons of meetings to get a bunch of different people together and so forth. So I'm gonna try to keep this tutorial a little bit quick as well because I got a bunch of stuff to do after this as well. And the crazy thing is, the microphone I'm recording on actually broke right before I started this recording, so I had to rush out to get my staff to buy me a brand new recording device. So it's quite interesting. But anyways, let's jump to the tutorial here. What you see here are two different images, actually the same design, but treated with two different type of mood and painting goals here, right? Two different looks. And so this week is more about how to work in production, some techniques we use when we're actually doing things like this, where we're presenting two different looks to a client in a very short amount of time. So neither painting is actually very tight. So if I zoom into this one, for example, it's very loose, it's very suggestive, right? It's not refined, neither is this one. But they do serve a very good purpose, which is create the right mood, to create the right lighting. So let's back up a bit and I'll show you guys the line drawing where this one comes from. Let me turn this off, line drawing on. 100%, 100% line drawing on. So you can see it's the same line drawing, and this was actually done by a student of ours in class. This is a diploma course student. So the perspective, the design is actually done quite well. You can see the perspective is dead on, the horizon line, everything is in there for me to work off of. So in this live demo in class, what I want to show students was how you could take a design like this, and before you go into heavy detailing, we could actually do some quick studies, painting studies, but to a point where it's not so rough that it's actually presentable. Like both of these paintings here, they're both presentable. If you print these out, they're okay. They'll hold up well in a print on a wall, but they're definitely not refined. You see, it's very hard to go into production with this. The only purpose they serve right now is more of a mood and lighting test versus can we actually build off sets and construction off of this? No, you can't. It's way too loose. Yeah. But so when you zoom out, it does work. And for this demo, we did it fairly quick, probably under 2 hours, about an hour each, maybe even less than that for both paintings. So I'll share with you some of those techniques, very quick methods to working. And secondly, even if these two paintings are not the same, often when I'm doing my professional work, I work on 2-3 different paintings at once. There's multiple reasons for that. One of them is being that it keeps you interested. For example, I could be painting this one for a while, just going there and painting blah 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 blah, and then half an hour later you get kind of bored of a painting. Seriously, if you do this for a long time, even if no matter how fun the subject matter is, you tend to get bored of things when you stare at it for too long. So by having multiple images open in Photoshop, you don't have to close Photoshop, go open another one. You just simply task over to another one and then work on this one. It keeps the mind nice and fresh. It keeps the interest level up. And two, which is actually very important, it allows you to spot mistakes. For example, I could be in this painting here, painting at some crazy zoomed in level like this, working on this railing here. Let me just get a brush here, doing all this crazy stuff over here, painting. And then I'm like half an hour into it and don't realize I've actually made a mistake. Right? But when you're painting with just one painting, you might not even notice it. You might not even notice it till the entire painting is done, right? Just, that looks cool, whatever. But by going somewhere else and painting and working on something else, when you come back, you almost have a fresh perspective on what you're seeing. For example, you work on this for another half an hour, and then you go back to this painting, and then suddenly you realize, oh, wait a minute, something's not quite right here. The perspective is sort of off and thing. So it's quite helpful in that sense. So both of those, when combined together, workflow as well as spotting mistakes, they combine to make your work way more efficient. So that's sort of the purpose of these. This tutorial here. So let's just jump into one of these. First let's give a quick background of what these comes from. So before I start any painting, for example in this case, I like to give myself a little bit background story. I mentioned this in the previous tutorial as well, to give yourself a starting point so you're not just jumping to completely random. So for me, when I saw this design, it kind of looked creepy to me. It looked like some kind of asylum or some kind of Silent Hill, those type of creepy world type of thing. So I wanted to create two different environments that does the same thing. They both give off the sense of creepiness that this place is haunted or something evil is inside. So this is one treatment of it. Here's another, and I think they both sort of work to capture that type of feeling. And so let's just jump in. Let's start with this one. How we got there. So you can see not too many layers in this one. It's a quick painting, and you have to kind of know that when going in to know that this is going to be a quick painting, a rough thing. So my approach is also different. If I'm doing something very tight, I almost pre-planned the kind of steps I'm going to take. For something rough, I don't I skip a certain steps. Okay, so but let's just go back to here. Okay, so we have a line drawing. Boom. Color palette. That's the most important thing. The fastest to get some color palette in there, then just go take some photographs, some photo collage of the color you like. For example, here I put a bunch of rocks and just debris of something, and you can even see that it's mirrored here. Because the subject matter of the photo has nothing to do with my final. I don't really care. What I want is the value and the color. So this is a perfect mood. It has that kind of creepy lighting scenario here. And once we have this photo, then you could just use that to create your painting. You see my second layer, I go into painting. So this is when you study the values and study the geometry and just boom, 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 push it out very, very quick. Yeah, so that's what this layer did. We'll go back to this one. Let's do the same thing. So I'll go back and forth for both paintings. You can see here, it's actually some kind of photo of a big ship in snow, right? But it's got the right lighting and the material I want, especially this contrast of this reddish metallic material against this kind of hazy, almost very creepy snow, right? There's nice grays in here, so it's not so clean. I like that, and that's what I want. Especially for that kind of Silent Hill type of scenario, they have this kind of metallic material as well. So from here, we start to paint it as well. Let me turn the line drawing. At this point, the line drawing needs to be in there. You see, without a line drawing, it's hard to see what the heck is going on. Turn on, you can see. Yeah, same with this one here. So both start exactly the same way, and I actually worked on both at the same time during the demo. Okay, let's go back to this one. Boom. And then from there, we adjust light. This is going to be a pretty creepy painting. So I darkened it quite a bit, and I'll bring the light back in. You can see this is very, very dark right now at this point. Okay, without a line drawing, you can see it's very creepy. But that's what we want. We want to create that kind of creepy scenario here. And here I bring in the backlighting. Right, backlighting also helps with the whole creepiness to silhouette this building out, some kind of dark, ominous, strange thing here, like that kind of thing here. So that's what this lighting does here. Again, so some of it comes from film cinematography type of planning. I darkened the values for this building even more in this stage because we have a backlit situation here. So if it's backlit, we're going to have some heavy contrast with the objects in front of the light, and it's going to go quite dark. And so here's just a quick multiply to achieve that look. Turn the line drawing on so you can sort of see what we're doing here. Right. And check your values at this point. Let's go small and just look. Okay, look, you're starting to read. We've got a building going on. A lot of the details don't read, but the overall value is starting to work. Okay, let me just pause Photoshop for a second here to let it catch up. Be right back.